Good morning. It's Tuesday, November 22nd. This is Mike Mock with Lansing Trade Group's morning comments. Before we talk about today and the rest of the week, let's look back at yesterday. Two important things to note. Number one, in the energy markets, very, very strong, particularly crude oil. Lots of talk now that OPEC and the Russians are going to get together with some production cuts. A number of commission houses indicated they had bumped up their price projections into the low to mid 50s for crude oil into the first half of 2017, and a lot of people here have been pressing energies, and so we saw a nice sharp recovery, and that helped the tone across the whole floor of commodities. In addition, we had very aggressive pricing out of China in soybean meal, even perhaps some spec buying over there. We had up $10 a ton is a big number. We're back up to the upper end of the recent trading range. In both cases here, some important technical developments. In the case of crude, we closed above all the moving averages, kind of now seeking, a return perhaps to the $50 level. In the case of meal, we got right to the 100, 200-day moving averages, and we'll see how that trade evolves. This is always important when you get to the end of the month, and obviously we're rapidly approaching the end of November, so watch those two charts for closes as we get to the end of the month. But we want to talk about how this relates, going forward for the grower, and a couple things. I always am a huge proponent of revenue-based crop insurance policies, and from my perspective, the month of February can never get here fast enough when prices are on the upward swing. Just to remind folks that last year the Feb averages were 386 for corn and 885 for beans. Here yesterday on the close, we finished corn right at 386, literally matching the level from February last year. And in the case of beans, up around $10.10, so about $1.25 above last year's Feb average. And obviously that has implications for the acreage mix. What we see is a sharp reduction in wheat and a very modest, perhaps 2 to 3 million, perhaps 4 on the high side reduction in corn. Still plant well north of 90 million corn at this kind of price. But we're obviously going to see a huge jump in beans. The trade's talking 88, 89 million now pretty freely, and obviously we think that we have to take a good hard look at not only cleaning up old crop. We think yesterday was a good day to do that, but we've got to start the process of looking at new crop and ways to approach it. So at $10.10, if you break your marketing blocks into 10% each, there's certainly nothing wrong with straight hedging or flat pricing. The first 10% is your initial play. Certainly nothing wrong with that. But for folks who like more flexibility, particularly given the amount of time between now and next harvest, we love the min-maximum average contract as a way to approach it. And we think that contract becomes even more important as you increase your percentage sold, particularly if you do it prior to planting. So if some of you folks want to make sure that you get floors in place, take a really good look here. We can do the 980 floor with a 1060 ceiling, very attractively priced here, a small debit, a small cost, and we think that's well worth it. Obviously, you lock in a floor almost $1 above last year's insurance price before the insurance period hits. And again, we're going to be pricing between those two barriers. You'll never get a price below 980. You'll never get a price above 1060. What you'd like to see is the market move up to the top end of that range and price as many bushels as you can. Similar strategies in corn. Again, small debits, very modest cost. When you look at my two favorites here this morning, the 380 with the 420, it's a 40-cent window, which is fairly tight. But again, it's with a market at 385, 386, to have a 380 floor just below the actual futures price, we view as attractive. And we think 420 is a number that farmers should be prepared to apply as a maximum. If you go a little further out, do a little bit more bushels, you might want to widen the window. You can do a 370 floor with a 430 ceiling, also very reasonably here this morning. So again, this is our main focus. We think that as we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, this is an opportunity, and make sure you get with your Lansing merchandiser to discuss how this might fit into your plan. And speaking of the holidays, we'll have a full session on Wednesday, no market on Thursday or Thursday evening. Friday we'll reopen and close early at noon Central Time. That's all I got for you today. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll see you first thing in the morning.